All right, folks, welcome to another day with Mr. Flores in the art classroom. Today we are making our 3D notebook paper hand drawing. If you notice, it almost looks like they're sliced, and that's exactly what we're going for. So again, this is our 3D hand drawing on notebook paper. So the first thing you're going to do, when I went ahead, is placed my notebook paper on top of my sketchbook, so I have a nice white background and it's nice so I can draw on top of it as well. So when you first start off, you trace your hand. And remember, when you trace your hand, your pencil goes straight up and down. So you never bend your pencil side to side when you're tracing, or else you're gonna get, like skeleton fingers or something. So again, just trace your hand straight up and down, straight with your pencil. All right, the next step we're going to do after that, trace it, but you're gonna only be tracing every other line. You can use a pen, maybe an ultrafine Sharpie marker, micron pen, or even one of these pens from Five Below. What I did next is I traced only over every other line, so each one is skipped over. I am going to use an ultrafine Sharpie marker, that way it shows up better on this video for you. So let me go ahead and draw on this one, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase. So let me just start off like going in a row. That way it's easier to follow along and we're not skipping over or drawing over another one by accident. So I'm going over this just with a darker one. You can even use a color pencil for this as well. And I'm skipping over this one, and again, tracing just every other one. I am going to go back and erase my pencil lines so they are not showing. So I'm gonna go ahead and time lapse this so you can see how I did this. Once I get up to these lines where they're curved, I still draw these curved lines, but I make sure that I skip over this one as well, so I don't draw any of these. When I come up to the thumb, you can see where I still make that curve and draw over it. The top of the fingers, if it falls onto that line where I'm supposed to draw, I still draw a curve over. All right, so there I drew my lines. I'm gonna go back and erase every other one. And if you like, you can go across what you're going to do next to make it look like it's 3D, like it's coming out of the notebook paper. And you can get that same color of a darker line, or you can even use a color pencil or another color. I'm going to stay with my blue. We're going to make these curves to connect to the other line. When you make these curves, they're going to be like upside down smiley faces. And let me show you how high you need to go. Make sure you're not going too low or too high with your smiley faces, your arches, your curves. And I make sure that I go about halfway, not going past to the other line or not going to the top of this line. So like I said, I just curve it so I go about halfway between this one and this line. And I do it between all of these, connecting all of these lines together. And I only go halfway, meaning halfway between this line and this line. And I'll go ahead and time lapse this so you can see how this should come out. All right, so you're probably thinking, well, what about the top of these lines right here? You still do the same thing. You go halfway and draw that curve, that arch, that upside down smiley face. And when you come up to here, these are going to be even longer, but you have to do these very carefully. Sometimes it's good to tilt your paper to the other side so you can make that nice arch. And let me show you how I'm going to do these. So you still have these connected right here. I'm going to make my arch. But then you're thinking, well, how do I do this one? This one, I go ahead and connect it to this one since it's kind of interfering, or it's the closest one, and I connect it right there. This to over here, I'm going to go all the way, but just halfway, so it doesn't really touch these lines up here. So again, I'm going to curve and then come back down. And even notice there's one down here, but you don't connect it from this one. I connect it from where I started or ended. And I come back down like this. So it's another slice. And like, what about these larger ones? So to make it easy, so you don't have to go halfway, these larger ones, I go all the way up to this line up here. So right in the middle, I go up and then I come back down. So again, the next one, go up, touch this line right here, and then come back down. If you feel like you're unsure of yourself, you can always use pencil and then come back and go over it with a darker color. That way you can erase if there's any mistakes. So what about this one right here? I am going to make my arch and then come back and end it right here because it's kind of, this line is interfering and coming first before this one. So I draw my arch and I end it right there. Let me go ahead and time lapse the rest so you can see how this works. All right, folks, I like the way that came out. So the next thing we're going to do is to make it look like it's really popping out. Like I had this one, I'm going to add some shading. And all I did was blended the sides. And I'm going to go in with a color pencil or even a pencil. And it's better when you do the blending, you can really see that shading or that blending from going from dark to light. So let me go ahead and time lapse that so you can see how it comes out. All right, folks, and that is our 3D hand that looks like it's being popped out of our notebook paper. It almost looks like it's been sliced, and that's really cool looking. I like the way that came out, and I can't wait to see how yours came out as well.